Okay, I think then we'll get started. So thank you everybody for attending our information webinar today about the REMI program, Reducing Emissions through Machine Intelligence. My name is David Chan. I'm the product lead of the industry team here at REMI, and I'm joined by my colleague Bonnie Chu, who is an Investments and Partnership Associate. Just to give you a heads up, the session is being recorded, so just want to make sure everybody is aware of that. So over the next 20 minutes approximately, we'll give you a bit of an introduction in terms of what the REMI program is and how it can help your business. We'll also tell you about where you can go to learn more information about the REMI program. And then finally, we'll certainly also cover how you can apply to the program. So let's dig in. I should also say at the end, we'll leave some time for questions. So we'll provide an opportunity for that at the end as well. Let's start by talking about why REMI. And we wanted to highlight this first because we think there are a lot of opportunities for AI and machine learning when it comes to the GHG emissions reduction space. And so the program is really designed to help your team understand and use AI technology to improve your bottom line while also reducing GHG emissions. There are many questions that can be answered using AI and ML and data when it comes to GHG emission reduction. And we just wanted to highlight 3 of them here. So for example, what is the probability that this facility will leak methane in the next 10, 20, 30 days? So that's a pretty common question, and I think an excellent use case for AI and ML as well. There's more and more image data that's becoming available that can be used to make these kinds of assessments and predict where leaks will occur in the next period of time. And so represents an excellent opportunity, not just to reduce GHG emissions, but also to provide business value for the service providers that are adding that in, that are providing that service. Another question that you can ask is, how much energy will my building use next month, for example? So using AI and machine learning, you can predict things like what is the occupancy going to be of your building. It can be used to predict base load of your building, base energy consumption and things like that. And that can help you make informed and smart decisions about how you want to operate and how you want to manage your building. Again, reducing GHG emissions, but also providing an opportunity for you to run things more efficiently overall. And then another common problem or question that we hear about is, what is the probability that this compressor will fail in the next 7 days? And we mentioned compressor here, but really you can imagine thinking about any different piece of equipment or machinery that will fail at some point. And AI and machine learning really provides an excellent opportunity to do some predictive maintenance and to intervene early, thereby reducing your maintenance and repair costs, and at the same time avoiding costly and environmentally costly things like venting events and things like that, where you're emitting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The REMI program focuses on tackling GHG reduction opportunities using machine learning. And so what we're trying to do and what the program seeks to do is to help progress your companies along the AI adoption spectrum. We take a phased approach to do this, and we'll dive into the 3 phases in just a second, that take you from raising the level of conversation around AI and ML through education and training, to ideation, to scoping certain problems that are ripe for taking advantage of, and then actually the final phase, building that machine learning proof of concept model. What we're really excited about for the REMI program is that we did receive some funding through the Government of Alberta's TIER program. And so we're able to offer really affordable pricing for participating in this program that hopefully makes this accessible to really any company that's interested in starting to think about how to use AI and ML for the business and specifically for GHG reduction as well. The 3 phases that the REMI program consists of are laid out here. So the first phase focuses on machine learning foundations and fundamentals, and really, again, raising that level of conversation around AI and ML in your company. It's also the phase where we do brainstorming and try to identify opportunities for AI and ML within your business, and specifically, of course, focusing and thinking about GHG emission reduction opportunities. The second phase builds off of the first phase, in which we take one of the opportunities that was identified, focusing on GHG reduction, and further helps you prepare for that, for tackling that problem, and scopes that problem out in detail, really. And finally, the third phase is where we continue to build on phases 1 and 2, where we take the problem that you would have just scoped in phase 2 and start to work with the REMI team to build out a machine learning proof of concept model. The program is getting started in October, and my colleague Bonnie is going to cover some more of the timelines there. And phase 1 basically starts right at the beginning of October there. So the foundation sessions will take place in early October, October 6th and 13th, followed by that ideation or brainstorming session, the AIPI, which is also part of that first phase that runs from mid-October to November. The second phase, the scoping phase, then follows that and runs from December to February. And finally, the third phase, building the proof of concept model, runs after that from the end of February until June of next year. And so this is the high-level timeline for anyone that enters the program at phase 1. And so this is the linear and sequential timeline. So you would have to complete phase 1 first before you go on to phase 2, and then phase 3 as well. And not all companies go through all the phases, but that's one of the nice parts about the program, that each of the phases adds a lot of value, even if you only go through the first or the first 2 phases. While that is the high-level linear timeline, there is also an opportunity for intake at other points for phases 2 and 3. And if your company qualifies for that, we'd be happy to explore that and discuss that sort of in a follow-up call. Let's dive into each of the phases in a bit more detail then. So phase 1 is the foundations phase, and that's where we raise the level of conversation around AI for participants, and that helps you raise the level of conversation around AI and ML within your organization as well. This consists of 2 synchronous education sessions that are half-day sessions that provide that foundational knowledge around ML and AI, and they represent a key prerequisites and funnels into the brainstorming session to make sure you're fully prepared to take full advantage of that brainstorming session as well. Each participant, each company that participates in phase 1 gets assigned 5 seats for those training sessions. And so you can pick and choose who you think would be able to benefit from that training component the most within your organization, and who potentially would continue to act on as a champion within your organization for AI and ML. And so you can assign or decide how to assign those seats within your organization as you go along. The second part of the first phase is the AI planning and initiation session. And that's that ideation and brainstorming session that I referred to earlier. This portion runs over the course of 3 half-day sessions, and it's really quite an immersive and in-depth brainstorming and ideation session. And it's actually a lot of fun as well. I always enjoy being part of these ideation sessions. And so what happens there is that each company would think about where the opportunities lie around AI and ML, and that would happen with an REMI facilitator as well that's there to help guide you and think about where AI and ML could provide a fit. And then you will be able to sort of triage and choose which opportunities might provide the most value, and also where the biggest GHG reduction impact might come from. So that's the ideation session that would, at the end of the day, leave you with detailed opportunity maps about where some opportunities might lie within your business. Because the AIPI is a brainstorming session, we do recommend that you bring a cross-functional team to the table. What we found is that you have the best results when you bring some people that have a good understanding of the vision and where the company is trying to go to as a whole, but then also bring some of the technical folks to the table, some people that are involved in the day-to-day nuances. And together, that really provides a really nice combination for understanding on a big picture where you want to go, but also where some of those opportunities might lie. And of course, the other piece in there is that you would have an REMI facilitator and REMI staff that would help you along in that area as well. And together, that really makes for a nice team we found in the past. The nice thing about phase 1 is that you can tell it's pretty general purpose. REMI, of course, has a huge focus on GHG emission reduction, but the lessons that you would take out of phase 1 of the REMI program would really apply beyond GHG emission reductions as well. So this, the education, the training that you receive in the first part of phase 1, and the ideation process that you really go through will have sort of benefits and impacts beyond just what you would be doing as part of the REMI program here, which is a really cool benefit in my mind as well. Phase 2 after that is the scoping advisement. And so this builds off of the first phase where you would have ideated and brainstormed around what opportunities there are. And what you would do is pick one of the opportunities, one of the key or primary opportunities that you see around GHG emission reduction, and you would further scope that out in this scoping advisement. So there you would be working with our REMI team, one of our machine learning scientists, to really try to get a thorough understanding of about what approaches could be possible for solving this problem that you've identified, and trying to de-risk and explore the opportunities around this and how you could tackle this problem. So before you really jump in head first, this provides an opportunity to do your due diligence and make sure that you've planned things out appropriately and that you set yourself up for success as well. This phase does not require that you have any data science expertise on board within your company. So those insights will be provided on our end from our machine learning scientists, but it does require that you have a GHG emission reduction opportunity identified for this piece of the program. What we found in the past as well is that companies have also found value in this as a way of showing that you've done your due diligence on exploring machine learning and AI opportunities. At the end of phase 2, you would be left with a report that summarizes the potential approaches you could take, some of the risks that might have been identified for trying to tackle this problem, and also what data you might need to have in place before you can really get going on this. And so we found that some companies have actually used this report to demonstrate they've done their due diligence in order to secure additional funding before moving on to the next phase, and in order to move on to the next phase to have that funding in hand. Phase 3 finally wraps up the REMI program, and this is the project advisement phase and our longest phase as well. This is a 16-week phase, and this is where where you really get going on building your machine learning model, right? So this is where you would take the opportunity that you just scoped out in phase 2, and you would move that along further and actually start building the machine learning model that can help you achieve the outcomes that you're looking for with the GHG reduction opportunity that you've identified. And our REMI experts would be working with your team at that point to help mentor and advise on how to tackle that problem and really coach you through building that first machine learning model proof of concept that you would be left with at the end of the day. And while in this phase, you do again need a GHG reduction opportunity that you would have identified in phase 2. And you also need to have some talent on board at your company in order to make this happen. So the hands on the keyboard we'd be looking to come from data experts on your side, but they would be able to work with our team as well for that coaching and advisement. If you don't have that on board right now, what's actually really exciting to us is that we've been able to add an apprenticeship component to the REMI program this time around. And what that means is for companies that are really early on that don't have any of that data science or machine learning expertise on board yet, they'd actually be able to work with us to find an apprentice sort of similar to an intern that would represent those hands on the keyboard that can really move the model building forward and work with our experts, our machine learning scientist experts still, and move that forward. So being able to add that apprenticeship piece in there is really exciting to us because we think that it'll really enable some of the companies out there that are looking to bring some of that talent on board, but don't have it in-house just yet. So if that at all sounds of interest to you, please reach out, as we have a limited number of apprenticeship slots available. And so we'd love to explore that opportunity with anyone who's interested. Now that we've covered the phases in a bit of detail, I wanted to take a bit of a step back just to quickly highlight what the different requirements are and who the phases really are open to. So the first phase, is that general phase where we provide that training and that ideation and brainstorming component. And so this is open to any company really along any part of the AI adoption spectrum. So if you're just getting started in AI or you're a bit further along, this phase is open to anyone. Phase 2 does require a clearly defined GHG reduction opportunity so that we can work with you on scoping that out and figuring out what are some of the risks, what are some of the potential approaches that we could use to tackle that problem. And then finally, phase 3, building that proof of concept model, does also require that GHG reduction opportunity identified. Does require that the data is available. Of course, if the data is not readily available at that point, we found that that provides introduces a significant time delay. And so we want to make sure that all the data is available when we get started there. And again, it does require that you do have some data science expertise on board, but there is that asterisk to that because we can explore bringing in an apprentice as well for you to move that opportunity forward. With those phases in mind, we thought it'd be useful to also highlight the experience of one of the companies that participated in last year's cohort of the REMI program. And so just to tell you about what their experience was like and what they are now doing going forward after they've completed the REMI program. And the example that we're citing here is from Profire, which is an Alberta-based company, and they specialize in burner management for the oil and gas sector. And so they participated in the first 2 phases of the REMI program. They came in only knowing that they participate in the first phase. And then after the training and ideation sessions, were able to identify some really high impact, great opportunities for GHG emissions reduction, and decided based on that to move forward into phase 2 as well. And that's exactly what they did. So they participated in the first phase. They identified 4 top opportunities that they thought had a high potential, and then picked one to move forward into the scoping phase. And that opportunity that they moved forward was to try to use machine learning to detect out of tune burners. And what that means is that if you can detect which burners are out of tune, you can prioritize which burners you're going to maintain, and thereby basically reduce the costs for doing that maintenance, and also less waste, less natural gas, and therefore reduce GHG emissions as well. So after the first phase, before I go on to phase 2, this doesn't just represent a GHG reduction opportunity for Profire, but it also has significant business value. They provide this service, the burner management service, to their clients, and they have an install base currently of 75,000 systems. So you can imagine by introducing a smarter technology to do that, you can have introduce significant savings for their clients, but at the same time also presents sort of a competitive advantage for Profire to be able to do this in a smarter way and offer that opportunity for their clients. And beyond the install base that they currently have, there's 1.7 million oil and gas wells where this technology is potentially applicable for installation. And so it really represents a great opportunity for them to scale the GHG emission reduction opportunity, as well as providing a great business opportunity and value for them and their clients as well. After that ideation phase, they went on to the second phase, that scoping phase, where they took that burner control optimization problem, and where they worked with REMI to scope that out and start looking at how they could actually be made possible and how they could move that forward. And so at the end of the day, they were left with a report that provided a literature review, provided recommendations about what to do for data collection and what data they should have on hand in order to make that go, and propose potential solutions. And so what they're currently working on now is on installing low-cost sensors so they can collect the relevant data in order to build that machine learning model and make those predictions. They're working on what that data pipeline would look like, going from those sensors to a cloud-based system where they can store that data and run a machine learning model on that in order to then have predictions and be able to make recommendations on which burners should be maintained first in order to, again, do that maintenance more efficiently and also reduce GHG emissions by making sure that the burners are in tune rather than out of tune, which wastes a lot of natural gas. And so with that, then, I hope you have a pretty good understanding of sort of the 3 phases of the REMI program. And also, I hope this use case sort of helped illustrate how a company can apply that, those 3 phases to their benefit. And with that, I'll pass it on to Bonnie, who will talk more about the application process and some of the other aspects of REMI.
Thanks, David. Now we'll walk through our 4-step application process, which you can see on the screen here. We do aim to accept all companies who are looking to participate in the REMI program, and you'll be placed in an appropriate program phase based on your company's current level of AI adoption, your team composition, and your near-term GHG reduction goals. So the first step in our process is submitting an application through our website. The form can be found on the link shown on the screen. Then once we receive your form response, our team will review your application. If you qualify for phase 1, you'll be automatically accepted into the program. If you potentially qualify for phases 2 or 3, you'll be invited to a 30-minute discovery call with our team to learn more about your problem, your organization, and to determine your fit within the program. Next, you'll receive a message of acceptance and your phase assignment. We'll also send you a program contract, and your participation will be confirmed once the contract is signed. Next slide, please. Along with our regular REMI programming, AMI also offers optional training opportunities for your team. One really great opportunity for your technical team members is our machine learning technician certification. This is a 9-week program beginning in September. Participants will get hands-on experience with working on an ML project, and they'll graduate with the skills and the knowledge to define and execute an ML project that supports your organization's business outcomes. One really great example of how this course fits into the REMI program is that we had a previous company who sent one of their staff through this ML Tech certification, and this staff member then became the technical lead in working with us through phases 2 and 3 of the program. It's a really great opportunity to upskill your team members, not just for this REMI program, but for future AI business opportunities within your organization as well. And enrollment information for this course can be found through our website. And a really great bonus is that REMI program participants will receive priority enrollment and a 20% discount on this course. Next slide. I'd also like to share some other opportunities for working with AMI. The REMI program is focused on supporting your company's AI adoption process, specifically for opportunities related to GHG reduction. But if your company is interested in exploring non-GHG focused opportunities outside of the REMI program, we do offer the scoping and POC build out services from phases 2 and 3 of the program as individual service offerings, along with other opportunities to work with us on ML talent acquisition and advanced research projects as well. If you're interested and would like to learn more about how to work with us, you can set up a call with me at the email address on screen, partnerships@ami.ca. Next slide. Some next steps and key dates to keep in mind are that the REMI program guide and the application form are available through the website on screen. The program guide is also where you can find more detailed information about each phase of the program and pricing information as well. Some key dates are that applications for this cohort of the REMI program close on September 10th, 2021, so about a month from now. The program will start on October 4th, 2021. If you have any questions about the information we've presented in this webinar or would like to discuss the application further, please connect with us at partnerships@ami.ca. And we also invite you to share information about the REMI program with anyone in your network who might be interested or benefit from it.